the Trump administration released what they're calling a tax plan. It is not a plan as much as it is like just sort of a statement that more or less boils down to, we're going to cut everybody's taxes, not so much middle class taxes, but
it's a mission statement for inequality. It's a vision.
Right. It is a huge vision. And tomorrow, I think Dave Pachman has really dug into the details to the extent that you can dig into details where it's not where there's no details. But here is Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of the Treasury, who did not have a lot of things to provide in terms of answers. But here he is being asked, hey, isn't it the case that, like, these taxes, I mean, it's almost as if, like, what Donald Trump did was, God, I hate this tax, I get hit by that. I hate that tax, I get hit by that. That AMT tax and no deductions in these states, man, that's one of the things that really irks me when I have to sign that check to the government.
Those are
Let's get rid of
the
those.
ones we got to get rid of. I mean, you just look at it. I can actually really go through this at a very personal level.
Here's Steve Mnuchin responding to that question, like, hey, isn't this going to lower Donald Trump's taxes a lot?
Nice.
Why don't the American people have a right to know how this will affect President Trump?
Again, I'm not sure. The American public has lots of information on the president's financials. He's released more information, and people have lots of information. And the American public, you saw, people voted for the president, and
you say he's released more information. He's the only president in modern times who hasn't released since Nixon, who hasn't released his tax returns. That's not more information. That's far less.
Again, this is about American jobs. The Trump economic plan is about creating jobs, 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 and economic growth. And we're tired of, in this country, having the highest business tax rates, taxing on worldwide income, and leaving trillions of dollars offshore. It's not a surprise that American business has left $1 trillion offshore.
Hey, George,
wow.
President Trump will release his taxes when I have a neck, okay? It's not going to happen.
First off, let me just, I mean, aside from the fact that obviously he's dodging the question, he's confusing the words more with less and released with not released. He also, this notion that they're framing it, and as Cenk and I said earlier, there was a plan that the Democrats had too. There's no money trapped overseas. That money is not trapped overseas. It is people who don't want their tax deferral, which is what it is, to end. When you make money overseas, the U.S. government during the Eisenhower administration allowed for a deferral of those taxes. You didn't have to pay it at the end of the year. You could pay it when you repatriated that money because you wanted to build U.S. businesses' involvement overseas. And that would encourage investment overseas and whatnot. And corporations learned in the lead up to the 2004 American Jobs Creation Act that George Bush passed, that if they waited long enough, they would get a tax holiday. And they got a tax holiday. 5% taxes instead of the 35% taxes that they were supposed to pay on that money. It was ostensibly going to go towards providing jobs. And all you need to do is Google it to find out that even those companies that pushed for it ended up cutting thousands of jobs. And 86 to 96% of it, I think it was, just ended up in shareholders' pockets as dividends or buybacks.
Well, the taxes are just so high.
And so this whole framing of like the money's trapped over there. It's trapped. It's not trapped.
We need a team from Goldman and a couple of hedge funds to get put on ski masks and go crack the money open that's stuck in the EU.
there's another way that you can get that money back. And you say, hey, you know how we defer taxes until you repatriate it? We're not doing that anymore. You've got to pay your taxes at the end of the year, just like with your profits that you make in this country. You've got to pay for those taxes. And the idea of double taxation, understand that if they pay a local country's taxes, they can deduct that from the taxes they owe the U.S. government. So that's also sort of a canard. And I heard the other day Tim Carney on TV saying, like, well, just lower the tax rate so that people don't have to expend so much time and money avoiding taxes. Yeah.
If you just lowered the penalty for killing somebody, it would be less complicated to prosecute those cases.
We'll play these, and here is, of course, the pitch from Mnuchin on why we need these tax cuts. But he's asked, like, hey, can you guarantee that there will not be a raise in taxes on the middle class? And he can't even promise that.
Okay.
Can you guarantee that no one in the middle class is going to pay more?
That's our objective, absolutely.
Is it a guarantee?
I can't make any guarantees until this thing is done and on the president's desk, but I can tell you that's our #1 objective in this.
He goes on. Now, remember, this is their tax plan, but they have no idea what's in it. Here is also a question about tax cuts for the wealthy.
I'm seeing no absolute tax cuts for the wealthy.
Again, what I'd say, that's the objective, but we're working with Congress, we're working with the House and the Senate, we're having listening sessions, and this is about turning it into a bill that will get signed.
But the objective is no absolute tax cuts for the wealthy.
That's the objective, and we'll see where we get from here.
What does that mean, no absolute tax cuts?
Well, I think that in a metaphysical sense, there are no literal absolutes for a tax cut. It's not an absolute thing. I wonder if that was the thing, like, our objective is to not kick you out of your home, old lady, and to foreclose on you. That certainly is the objective.
Right. No, our objective is not for you to get kicked out of your home. Our objective is to make as much money as possible. Just so happens as a byproduct.
Right.
You get kicked out of your home.
Can you imagine sitting next to that disgusting face, and he's just like, okay, our goal, okay, is not for you to be kicked out of your home, okay, but I also want to produce Hollywood movies. So if that means that you and your family are homeless, then I mean, okay, it's not our objective, but it's a byproduct, okay, but it's not absolute.
It's not absolute.
Hey, folks. The Majority Report YouTube page is in a bit of a crisis right now because of changes in their algorithms. Our YouTube revenue has been clobbered. We need your help. Just a couple of bucks a month would really help us out and keep this channel going. Head over to our Patreon page to find out more information. It's the URL is right here.